Do you think the pay for professors is enough to pursue a music doctorate? Most of the professors that I worked with had a philosophy of when they were doing the interviews with students and the students were asking like, well, what's the pay difference? If that was the reason for getting a doctorate, then the professors advise them unanimously to not get the doctorate. It is not worth it. From a K-12 setting, if I were to teach in a district with a bachelor's degree, when I jump up to a master's degree, it might be like $1,000 more a year, maybe $2,000 more a year. And then the same thing for like a doctorate, it might be $1,000 or $2,000 more. After taxes, you might be making several $100s more a year. So it's not worth it for the K-12 setting. The last district that I in, they counted my doctorate even though I hadn't finished the dissertation at that time. And I was making $45,000 with 7 years of experience at that time. This was in Arizona. It depends on where you're at. Like you could make a good amount of money. You can make a very small amount of money. A lot of professors also do not make much more than in the K-12 context. So some of my professors as an assistant professor, which is like the first tier of professorship, there's assistant, there's associate, there's full, and then there's professor emeritus, which is like retired professor basically. But as an assistant, so like the lowest tier, they were making as much or sometimes less than some of their students who are teaching in the K-12 settings. But there's the loss of income as a student and the amount of debt that you went into. So like for my doctorate, even though I had the tuition waiver, I did my residency for 2.5 years full time. And I ended up getting close to 6 figures in debt from that, from like having to pay for like rent and stuff. The amount of money that I got from teaching the undergraduate and graduate courses I was doing, I made $4,000 in a year. The whole year I made a total of $4,000 while I was doing my residency. That's not enough to, pay your bills. So your odds are you're gonna have to take out some loans. If your residency is a year, okay, that's not so bad. Mine was 2.5 years, so it was significantly more than that. So there's a loss of income from the amount of time where you're not working and the amount that you pay for the doctorate, and then you end up making similar pay, maybe a few $1,000s more as an assistant professor. When you get to an associate professor, that will jump up like $10,000, maybe $20,000 depending on where you're at. So then it starts to be like, okay, this is starting to be worth it as a professor for more money. But then you jump up another tier as a full professor and you might be making like 6 figures depending on where you're at. Like it's a decent amount of money, and you look at that and go, wow, I can make a lot of money as a professor. Yes, but like for me, it took 6 years or something to get the doctorate. It's just a very lengthy process, especially when you account for you're not really going to make money until maybe 10, 15 years into your career. Because to get tenure, that can take several years. It might take several more years to get to full professorship. So the long answer is I don't think it's necessarily worth it just for the pay if you want to become a professor. You can find thousands more free drumming tips and exercises to improve your chops, limb independence, technique, and more in my YouTube channel's home tab or neatly organized in the link at the top of the screen.